Hi, I'm Everett Moore, author of the book Growing Up Country, Rural Life in the 1950s and 1960s. Right now we're in the yard of St. John's United Methodist Church just east of Georgetown. And this was the actual hub of our neighborhood. In fact, it was such a hub and the neighborhood was so known by the church that in fact we could receive mail as Everett Moore near St. John's Church, Georgetown, Delaware, and we'd actually get the mail. I could even get mail that way as a young child with no box number, rural route number, or anything else. Even though the area was officially known as Springfield Crossroads, we were known as near St. John's. St. John's was part of a country circuit, and by circuit or charge I mean that there was more than one church that was served by the minister, and in this case for St. John's we had 4 churches in our charge, and so we would consequently have what we referred to as preaching Sunday just every 2 weeks. So we had Sunday school every week, and then every other week we would have actual worship service or preaching. The reason for that is that the minister, since he had 4 churches, he would actually conduct worship services 2 times on Sunday, one at one church, then one at the other, and then he would end up at that church. The following week he would do the other 2 churches. So as a result of that, oftentimes our actual worship services, or what we referred to as preaching, would actually start before the minister got there. It would be the church superintendent who would actually open up the services, and then the minister would come in during that service and then deliver his sermon, or as we referred to it, he would preach to us. Our services were very informal. There was not a lot of ritual. The only ritualistic parts would be the Sundays that we would have communion or during christening services. But other than that, it was mainly the sermon itself and a lot of songs. Now, as I indicated, this was a very important part of our community. Not only the church on Sundays, but it was much more than that, because we had activities around the church year-round. Our church services in Sunday school actually started 10 o'clock in the morning for Sunday school and 11 o'clock for the preaching service or the worship service. The reason for that, we're in a rural community, farm community. That gave the farmers an opportunity traditionally to be able to go out, take care of their livestock before the services started. And a lot of other things that occurred was around that farm schedule. For example, we would have an ice cream festival, and that was really looked forward to by all the kids. But we'd have the ice cream festival in the summer, and it usually occurred at a time when the farmers had their crops laid by. And by that I mean the crops were already planted, they had cultivated the crops, and the crops were too tall at that point to cultivate anymore. But it was before the time that they were harvested. So that period was referred to as the time when the crops were laid by. And so consequently the farmers had plenty of time to do to work here for the ice cream festival. Another service that was held around the time, around a farmer's schedule, was the homecoming service. And the homecoming service again was something that was really looked forward to, because it was an opportunity for people who had maybe grown up in the church or had relatives in the church, but had moved away because of their jobs or just moved to another area, where they would come home and come back for a big service. Traditionally we had the service preached by someone who'd been the minister or the preacher from prior years. And that service traditionally occurred in the middle of October, and the reason again it was at that time of year because crops were traditionally harvested by that period of time. The one building off to my side is what we referred to as the community hall, and the community hall actually was moved here in 1951. And the reason that it came here, it was already built. This was actually a CCC camp building, which means Civilian Conservation Corps building from the Depression. Then after that, there was actually a prisoner of war camp for German prisoners in this neighborhood. And this was then used as a barracks for them. And then after the war, it fell out of use, and our church was able to purchase it and move it here for use as community hall. This community hall served as the location for our Sunday school for the youth classes, also our Bible school services in the summer, And it was also the home to all of our church dinners. There was a kitchen inside, and we had the covered dish dinners. Some areas refer to them as potluck dinners, but for us they were the covered dish dinners. To learn more about the book or the topic that we've discussed today, be sure to visit us on Facebook or on our website through the links that are on the screen or in the description.